Welcome back to Hannity. So the president continues to take shots at Donald Trump. Earlier today, while delivering the commencement address at the U.S. Air Force Academy, well, the president took a veiled swipe at Mr. Trump. Take a look.
America cannot shirk the mantle of leadership. We can't be isolationists. It's not possible in this globalized, interconnected world. In these uncertain times, it's tempting sometimes to pull back and to try to wash our hands of conflicts that seem intractable, let other countries fend for themselves.
Then he attacked the Fox News channel and conservative talk radio. Here's what he said.
So their basic story is America's working class, America's middle class, families like yours, have been victimized by a big, bloated federal government run by a bunch of left-wing elitists like me. And the government's taking your hard-earned tax dollars and it's giving them to freeloaders and welfare cheats, and we're strangling business with endless regulations, and this federal government is letting immigrants and foreigners steal whatever jobs Obamacare hasn't killed yet. I haven't, turned on Fox News or listened to conservative talk radio yet today, but I've turned them on enough over these past 7.5 years to know I'm not exaggerating in terms of their story. That's the story they tell.
All right, well, here with reaction, former 2016 Republican presidential candidate Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Carson, I did a little investigating because he's attacking what I do and my colleagues in radio and TV. Let's see, median household income has fallen nearly $2,000 under President Obama. The number of Americans in poverty has increased almost 10 million under President Obama. The number of Americans on food stamps, well, that has gone up 12.4 million. We have a 40% increase in average family health care premiums in spite of what he promised on that rate. Home ownership rate has dropped by nearly 4% since he has been there. The labor participation rate is at the lowest level since March of 1978. We lost 264,000 manufacturing jobs since he's been there, and he will accumulate more debt than every other president before him combined before he leaves office. Now, by every measure, I would say that's a failure, not a success. Your reaction to his whining?
I would say you're right about that, but the interesting thing is what they like to do is redefine everything and take the people who really don't have a deep understanding of what's going on and manipulate them. This is the very thing that Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin were afraid of. If people were not well informed and didn't have the proper information, they would be easily manipulated. And I think the progressives understand that, and they've taken tremendous advantage of it. They also speak poorly of people, but when Donald Trump does the same thing, they say he's being unpresidential. Barack Obama does the same thing, but he does it in a more gentlemanly way. It's basically the same thing. He
overpromised. There were no shovel-ready jobs, and he failed spectacularly. He said $9 trillion in debt was irresponsible and unpatriotic. It's going to be 20 when he leaves. The numbers of people out of the labor force, in poverty, on food stamps, up by millions and millions. And he says by every economic measure, that's the case. And then he says he is a success. Now, Hillary has tied herself to him. Does she get to make that case successfully, or do those people that are suffering in the millions, do they reverse course and change parties in terms of who they vote for?
Well, I'm certainly hopeful that many of the people, many of the downtrodden in our society will actually start to listen, because you're going to see the Republican Party, you're going to see this in the platform, and you're going to see Donald Trump talking about the ladders of opportunity that are going to be presented that will allow a person on the basis of their God-given talents and their willingness to work hard to climb that ladder of opportunity and become part of the strength and fabric of this country. That's what Republicans and conservatives should represent, not keeping people in bondage and then fooling them into believing that somehow you are their savior. They do a very good job of it, but I think there's a lot of people who are starting to wake up and think for themselves, and they're going to be in big trouble.
Well, the people that have been disproportionately impacted by these horrible economic policies are minorities in America, black Americans, Latino Americans, and back to my argument with Geraldo, I don't think people that are suffering are going to vote for the same policies that have not lifted them up or given them a ladder of opportunity. So Thank you, Dr. Carson.
Or at least they'll sit at home and they won't come out and vote. But I'm hoping that they will actually turn this thing around, because we have a lot of programs that are going to be available, and it's going to help an awful lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to think that's, 90-some-odd million Americans out of the labor force. Those are millions of families suffering. 1 in 5 American families don't have a single family member working. 1 in 6 men, 18 to 34, are either in jail or out of a job. These are horrible numbers.
Keep throwing those numbers out.
Yeah.
Keep throwing them out, because people need to hear that.
All right, Dr. Carson, thank you.